Hi, welcome back to Carson Does Math. In this, I'm going to be explaining factoring with two parentheses with coefficients in the front that you can't factor out. In this problem, you can see that there's a 3x squared, but none of the other terms are divisible by 3, so we can't just factor it out, and it makes the process a little bit more complicated. You're going to start by writing your two parentheses here, but if the number in front is prime, like 3 or 7, you can just drop the number right there along with your other two x's, because we know that the only factors of 3 are 3 times 1, which are the coefficients, those two things right there. But otherwise, we're going to look at the same as before, the coefficient of the c term over here. For 5, the only two are 5 and 1. So we know that the numbers over here will be 5 and 1, but the trick is we have to figure out a combination of numbers that multiply together in addition to the 3 to get negative 5, and add together to get plus 14. So this is a little bit more difficult just because of how this essentially adds an extra step. With this being negative and this being positive, we know that there'll be a negative and a positive in here, so we have to make sure that those are placed in the proper spots. Well, essentially how this is going to work is you're essentially just going to start guessing. So this is just me guessing, just positive 1, positive 5. No real rhyme or reason to it. Let's see what we get. This 1 multiplies times the 3x to become 3x, and this negative 5 times the 5 equals negative 5x. When you add the 3x and the negative 5x together, you get negative 2x, which does not equal 14. So let's try something else. Obviously, if the 1 over here and the 5 over here didn't work, let's try the 5 over here and the 1 over here. See here, 5 times 3x is 15x, and negative 1 times x is just negative x. But you'll notice if the 15x and the negative 1x add together like they're supposed to, you get the 14x. So this becomes our final factor. Now, there is no real trick to them. It's just simply a lot of mental math and making sure that your signs are correct. There is no real trick to always find the proper one when there's a coefficient, or always find the proper combination when there's a coefficient in front. We're going to look at an example where that's even more prevalent next. Looking at this example, you can see that there's a 9, a 12, and a 4, and there's no way to factor out a 9 or a 3 to make this any simpler. So we're just going to start by writing our two parentheses. As opposed to the 3 from earlier, 9 actually has multiple factors. If you look at 9 as a number, you can multiply 9 times 1 to get 9, as well as 3 times 3. Now, these are the numbers that will be going in front of our x's when we write them over here. But for now, the best way to going about it is just to guess. So I'm going to guess 9 and 1. With this and this term being positive and this term being negative indicates that both of these signs will be negative, because these numbers without the variables, when we put them over here, are going to multiply together to get a positive number, but when they're added together, they have to get a negative number. So for that to be the case, these signs have to be negative. The only thing left is the numbers right here. So I'm going to go over to the 4, list out the factors of 4. We have 4 times 1, as well as 2 times 2. I'm just going to start guessing. Let's see here. Does 1 and 4 over here work? 1 times the 9, the negative 4 times the 1x. This does get us the 4 over here, but when you add these together, it doesn't quite get the negative 12, it gets you negative 13, because the negative 9, negative 4 is negative 13. So that isn't quite right. And it won't work either if we put the 1 or the 4 over here, because negative 4 times negative 9 is a massive negative number that's nowhere near close to the negative 12 that we're trying to get. So that's not it either. We'll try the 2 and the 2. Multiply this times Negative 2 times negative 9 is negative 18. And if we're adding another negative 2 onto it, that's not even close to negative 12. So that's not quite it either. Now, when looking at this and realizing that you've gotten stuck, there's no possible combination with these two coefficients, we're essentially just going to strike this off the list. The coefficients in front of the x's can't be the 9 and it can't be the 1. So we're just going to cross that off and try again. Now we're going to have 3x over here and 3x over here. With this one not working, it'll have to be this one. The signs are the same for the same reason. It's the same sort of pattern as before. And now let's try numbers. Let's try the 4 and the 1. This equals negative 12. Good start, but we're adding another negative 3x by multiplying the negative 1 and the 3x over here. So that's not quite it. And if we were to change the numbers around, it doesn't really make a difference because the signs over here and the numbers over here are the same. So let's try the 2. 3x times negative 2 is negative 6. Negative 2 times 3x is the same thing, negative 6. And those negative 6's actually equal our negative 12 up here. So we actually did find this factor. If you check it, the negative 2 times the negative 2 equals the positive 4, and the 3x times the 3x equals the 9x squared. So our final answer for this problem, excuse the bad drawing, 3x minus 2, 3x minus 2. If you're really fancy, you can write this as 3x minus 2 squared. When it comes to these problems, it really just comes down to guessing and checking. There is no surefire pattern if you can't factor out a number. So I recommend doing a lot of these practices just to really get the method down of finding the factors, testing them out, etc. And if you want to find any more tutorials from me, you can check out the other videos on my channel. If you have any questions about this process, I'll be happy to answer any of them in the comments. And if you're interested in the music that has been playing, no doubt, throughout this entire video, then there'll be a playlist as well as the song title in the description. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.